what do you see happening as we move into this ring in terms of, you know, the sun is moving through each of these. Not every codon ring is always kind of set up like this as a series, one after the other. How do you see this process of matter? I mean, it's kind of interesting that this whole ring is in Libra. So what do you see about that? And how does this 46 kick us off into a deeper process?
As a Libra in modern astrology is connected to the seventh house, and that's all. It's all about the other, and we can see even in the symbol, the scales of balancing of either harmony or disharmony with the other. And this is what we can see from that. Not the parental conditioning, to kind of say it with a simple word. It's either it has imprinted us with harmony or disharmony. And when we speak about those keys, because they are coding that Venus sequence, the word fragmentation is what I see when the emotions are saying one thing, the mind is saying another, the body might not speak at all, the spirit doesn't know where to come home. When all these parts are not together, there is a fragmentation in the energy, and that fragmentation is going to be seen throughout all those levels of bodies, from the physical, from the densest to the more subtle. And we are going to continue, like we are going to perpetuate the same, we could say, dynamics or shadow patterns then in our relationships. Like so many times you're like, oh my God, I mean, I can say it myself, and I have a lot of things in Libra in my own chart. And I can see in relationships when somebody from the beginning was something that I felt was so different, and I've never known a person like this. And then 4 years later, it ends up being exactly the same dynamics with my dad. It's like, how could this happen? It was so different from the beginning. And you end up, having to break through in one way or another. What you were used to and what you somehow continue to attract. So very much those relationships, those dynamics with the other is what I see here in Libra. And with the 46 kicking off, I feel the beautiful and important thing here is exactly what we're speaking about in the beginning. The 46 is on the cusp between Virgo and Libra. And here we have a mutable earth sign. So here it's very much about the body. The body is earth and it's mutable. It's always, even when we are meditating in the stillness, there are so many processes going on. So I feel like that's telling us that that's where a lot of the magic lies, and that there is an enormous healing capacity in the body. And in the Gene Keys, when we come to that SQ, Richard says that often not even words can touch it. Sometimes the only thing is like deep body work, or deep work in that can in one way or another touch those deep things that we don't even have conscious memory of many times. So that's, for me, it's perfect that the 46 is kicking it off. And I got the question from Ashley this week. She was saying, Bella, like the way that you wrote the archetype, it's a lot about the sensual and the pleasure, but where is the child? And, that is the child. It doesn't have shame. It just has pleasure. It's really, here in Miami, I live right next to the nudist beach. It's like 1 minute from here. And some people really look at naked people like crazy people. And that, for me, that is weird, because that is our naturalness. And you see those, you can see like kind of exhibitionists, or what the word is, like you can see some people that just want to show their nakedness. And that, of course, is not natural either. But today I went there, and there was this couple, maybe between their 60s and the 70s. And they sat there with like 2 chairs that were the same, and this the shade. And they were just sitting there, like holding hands, speaking naked. And then they hold hands and they went into the water together. Like, it was so beautiful and so natural. And I'm like, I want to live in Miami when I am, 70 years old. And I want to have this beautiful relationship, holding hands. And like, that's beautiful. And they look, that was kind of the simplicity of a child. that they could do that. And there is no feeling of like, oh, the body's falling apart, they're getting old. No, it was just love and harmony. Again, speaking about Libra, harmony and disharmony, it's so harmonious. And they're sitting on a Thursday morning, on the beach, and that's the life, that's the simplicity, the beauty, the non-shame that a child would have with their body. And it's the pleasure of the sun and the sand and the water and all these things. So yeah, for me they go together, and the 46 is so beautiful. It's showing us that innocence that we have before we have been conditioned to be ashamed or to be closed off in one way or another. I have the second gene key and the first gene key in my life's work and in my personality earth, in my evolution. And right now we have that opposition with Venus and Uranus. And Venus is all about harmony and beauty. And she doesn't really like to be in Scorpio, where she has to go to the dark and deep and the underworld. Like that's not where her favorite place to be. And then in Taurus, that it's like kind of fixed and earthy, and that's not really where Uranus, that's where he can kind of change a lot, and Taurus doesn't necessarily want to change. So already they are in placement where they are not so happy, and then they are opposing each other. And what I love though is, that would be in the astrological sense, we would say that. But then if we go not deeper, but we go to the perspective of the gene keys in the I Ching, we see gene key 1 and 2. And gene key 1 has that creativity, like from Scorpio, from the void, from the death, like there is a rebirth, there's a creativity, there's a spark. And the second gene key actually can change in every moment because it's always orienting. The feminine intuition is always orienting. And I believe that this is actually the characteristics of a child. It's always orienting. Like even with a child, 1 second it can cry because it fell and it cried, and then you show it something like something from nature or something, and then from 1 second it just stops crying and becomes super curious about what that thing that you show them is, because they have that ability to orient in the moment and to orient with something new and something fresh, and always have a fresh perspective. So it's funny. That's like when it's funny because it's something new you haven't seen, and you're discovering the world in that orientation moment by moment as you are developing in form in Taurus, and at the same time as you're transforming, because that's Scorpio and that's what you're doing all the time. So for me, there is a lot of creative potential and evolutionary potential in the 1 and the 2 and the placement of Venus and Uranus right now. And the other that we could mention, we have a square between Pluto and Mercury. So there is something where I feel Mercury for me is the messenger of truth. And I feel like it's very important now to be that messenger of truth in our own life, to listen to the inner truth. And the 32 is about preservation. So it's, what works for you and what doesn't work. What weeds are you pulling out? What are you allowing to die? And where are you putting your energy? Where are you nurturing? So I feel like it's a day, or, it's a week where truth is important, and to not actually hide part of that transformation, that creativity, that's what's coming through us, doesn't want to be hidden. It wants to be expressed. And then mentioned it before, we have both the 21 and the 18 for me has to do with personal integrity and personal authority. So that for me goes together very much with this kind of guardian of truth that we have in the 32. Well, are you walking your talk? Are you in integrity? Are you in your own authority? And that means, you're saying something in the beginning. Being in your authority doesn't mean to control everything. No, it's much more like that second jinky and the first jinky. It's like life is happening, life is sparking, there's newness. And with that, can you be so much in yourself, so much in your body with the 46, so that you can meet all that with valor, you can meet all that with curiosity. So for me, it's very empowering right now. But of course, the 1 and the 2, it's like sometimes I say with people that have that, like me in their activation sequence, it's going to be very vast, because you have the Eros, the first gene key, the creativity, you have the Agape, which is the second, the feminine, the form. Like you kind of have the polarities of the universe, and you kind of have to deal with them. So anything can happen from A to Z and like further away. So it's the unexpected is there knocking on the door. But when you're really grounded and you're really committed to truth. There is nothing you can't face. And that's what I feel in the chart right now, you know. And there is an innocence too with the 25 in the earth that we can see over here, for example, you know, like when you feel shaken by life, which the programming partner for the 25 is the 51, the shock. Like when you feel shaken by life, can you see that as an initiation? Because that's what children do. Like when they fall, they kind of get up and they're a little bit tougher to face life. So I believe with the things, with the tensions that are happening, with the shifts that are happening, with the unexpected that are happening, you know, and sometimes when we don't feel in our authority. For me, there were things that I this week that I couldn't, like I had not done anything wrong, and still there was like administrative errors and stuff. And like I was trying to, like, I could have gone into my old kind of victim thing of like, oh, I'm always doing the best I can and it's never enough, and then I have to pay the price. Like this is the old story from forever. But at the same time, there is something exciting of living at that edge of life, and even kind of with that Uranus saying, oh my God, there's like some risk here and everything can go wrong. You know, like there is something with living on the edge of life and remaining innocent, remaining a child. For me, that is so much also the 25. You know, it doesn't matter if you hurt your knee, you're going to go up and play again. And I feel like it's very, very empowering transit, very beautiful. We are on the equinox. We were in the equinox yesterday. So here in the northern hemisphere, we're going to get longer nights. So maybe more of an inner inquiry because it's going to get darker. So more that phase. And then in the southern hemisphere, it's spring and it's going to be lighter. So things are coming up to the light. So I feel super powerful times, activations, possibilities, but it's really speaking about personal responsibility and sovereignty. Without that, you know, that's the most important tool and the most important compass right now.